All right, joining me now is Todd Bensman. Todd is going to join us about this breaking news story in the New York Post today. Biden administration quietly loosening immigration policies before Trump takes office, including letting migrants skip ICE check-ins in New York City. And apparently there are hundreds of thousands, maybe even more than that, illegals on the border waiting to come in here. Joining me now is Todd Bensman of toddbensman.com and CIS.org. Hey, Todd, thanks for joining us tonight.
Good to be here. Thank you.
All right. So what do you make of this story here in the New York Post?
Totally not surprised. I think the apparatchiks inside the Biden administration understand what's about to happen. There's going to be a complete crackdown, hermetic sealing of the border, and then deportation. And I think what they want to do is bring in as many facts on the ground as they possibly can to make it as difficult as possible, number one. And number two, because they like to bring in people, as many as they possibly can, to just get them into the country. That's their thing. So they're going to do really whatever is necessary, in my opinion, to bring in the maximum number of people over the next 60 days that they possibly can, because that's what they're all about.
And are they doing that to make life rough on Donald Trump? Are they doing that hoping these people will stay and they can redraw the district lines and count them in the census? What's their goal here? Impossible
to say what they're thinking, but I'm going to guess that their first thing is what it's been all along. They want to bring as many people as they possibly can into the country. There are resettlement agencies that do make money per head on all of them. So there's that. And I think that there is an electoral consequence to this when the next census is taken, because it doesn't differentiate between legal and not legal in the country, just bodies, warm bodies, so that they can create new congressional districts next time around. And of course, those will benefit Democrats. So I think that's kind of a cherry on top from their point of view, but who knows?
Just so crooked, so crooked. What do you make of Texas donating, 1,400 acres to set up a deportation center and, I guess a place to house them until they can get them out of the country? What do you make of that?
I mean, I think the Texans are very excited to have a new sheriff in town at the White House, because they have been at loggerheads with the federal government for 4 years straight over this mass illegal immigration. Remember, Texas is ground zero of this thing. More illegal immigration has happened in Texas than in any other state by far, by far. Most of those millions that are in the country came in through Texas. And Texas didn't want it, and they put up a defense, a fairly fruitless defense, because as long as there were Border Patrol agents behind them that the immigrants could get to, the Border Patrol agents were under orders to let them in, process them all in. Now it's all changing, because they're going to be an arm, a collaborative, cooperative arm, and partner with the federal government in scooping up as many illegal immigrants as they can and pushing them right back into Mexico, or detaining them for deportation flights. They got to have space for that. They're going to be partners now. It's a sea change.
Let's go to this headline by you at CIS.org. To President-elect Trump, beware of the duplicitous Mexican ant operations to hide a mad border rush. We've talked about these ant operations with you now for about 2 years or so. How many do you think are on the border waiting? Could it be as many as 1 million, Todd?
Well, I'm reading Mexican media that this morning. I was all over. I spent like an hour or two this morning just reading Mexican media. And Mexican media is reporting that there are at least 750,000 immigrants on the move inside Mexico right now. That's a huge number. That's far more than even I thought. I thought maybe 300, 400,000 or something like that. But I mean, nobody really knows. They're coming in at about 7,000 a day from Guatemala. pouring in, and the reason is because they all want to get in over our border before Trump gets in. But they have a problem. The problem is Claudia Sheinbaum, the new Mexican president, who was just threatened by Donald Trump with trade tariffs. If you let them through, it's going to be 25, bless you, it's going to be 25% trade tariffs on all products coming out of Mexico. If you let them in, 50%. If you let them in, 75%. If you keep letting them in, 100%.
Wow.
Which is just absolutely nuclear war ruinous to an economy. So right now, the Mexicans seem to be holding them back south of Mexico City with militarized roadblocks, et cetera. But what I'm worried about, Brannon, is that there are so many that they may make a rush on the Mexican troops. They may be able to plow through and overwhelm the Mexican troops and then try to overwhelm the Americans, especially in Texas. So it's very unstable right now, what's going to happen during the transition period. I am keeping a very close watch on this. I'll probably go down to Mexico City right after Thanksgiving, where there's about 50,000 of them jammed up down there in these massive squalid camps behind these Mexican roadblocks. So we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm. So maybe 750,000 of them. Now, you're saying they're being spread out through these ant operations. Remind our audience what that is.
So ant operations are, now, everybody, we're all seeing the caravans. You just showed video of the caravans. Those are camera-loving events. Whenever you have a caravan, you have media from all over the place going there, reporters walking around them. I did it myself. I understand the appeal and the allure. But when eyes are on caravans, then governments have to stop them. They got to do something about it. So the Mexicans came up with this tactic to deliberately break them up and put them on buses to 15 different places around Mexico, so that there are no caravans to look at, but there's still just as many people in smaller groups in lines, ant lines, coming through. And the Mexicans have been doing this for 4 years straight. That's why you haven't seen a whole lot of caravans, because they break them up and do ant operations instead. And I'm just warning in that column that, okay, you may not see caravans north of Mexico City, but watch out for the Mexicans to try this. In the waning days of the Biden administration. Just watch out for that.
You have another article as well, and let me see if I can find it. Here it is. It's over at the American Mind. Needed, a bipartisan truth commission on Biden's border crisis. Tell me about this article.
Well, I'm just making an argument, that now that we have a new sheriff in town, we might be able to do some things, and I think that the Biden administration has so systematically whitewashed what happened at our border for so long, so officially, blackballed conservative media from learning what was happening down there, the consequences on the interior, the numbers, the magnitude, everything about this, the national security threats, turning down FOIA requests, ignoring congressional letters of information demand, that we really need to have a bipartisan, preferably bipartisan, or if not that, then a presidential commission that will just thoroughly investigate this for a couple of years, collect all of the material that got sandbagged, that was denied the Congress, that was denied media outlets, that was denied my organization, your organization, and everybody else's that wanted to know about this thing, and do an investigation and create a kind of a 9/11 commission report, a final, here's what happened. Because the only way that you can really address what happened is if you know what happened. If you can't seek redress against something that you don't even have the data, you don't know what transpired, and I don't see that happening without some kind of a concerted, long-term, long-range effort, like what we saw when JFK was assassinated. Conspiracy theories all over the place. Nobody knew what happened, so they put together a commission to put to bed what they could at the time, or the 9/11 attacks, or Iran-Contra. There have been over 100 different investigative commissions by Congress and 45 by different presidents to fact find these controversial public policy issues that are left in dispute with all kinds of conspiracy theories when you don't. I'll give you a good example of what happens when you don't have an investigative commission. You have half the country believing that the 2020 election was stolen, and the other half saying that it wasn't, that you guys are election deniers. And now the integrity of our whole election system, because has been left unanswered, uninvestigated, just sort of like hobbles along into the future without any sort of information. We can't let that happen with this border crisis that just happened, 4 years long.
Absolutely. Look at this headline here at the Washington Times. Feds dismiss charges against Jordanians who trespassed on military bases. You were one of the first ones to break this story, and Quantico. We got a CIA base there as well. CIA offices there too, correct?
Yeah, that's a very strategically crucial and important military base. It's 30 miles from Washington, D.C., and you had a couple of illegal alien Jordanians, one of whom crossed the border. The other one was a student visa overstay fraud. They did what looked like a vehicle ramming attack on the thing, pretending to be Amazon delivery men. That was so it
was a pretty good sized truck.
Yeah, it was a big box truck. Luckily, some quick thinking, Marines put up the barriers that pop up out of the road, and they couldn't go anywhere. And then from that point on, and one of them looked like initially was reported to have been on the FBI terrorism watch list. And they would never talk about it. You could not get any information at all about it. They behaved, the administration circled the wagons, and I mean ICE, the FBI, Border Patrol, they all collaborated in a media blackout. This is what I'm talking about, why we need a truth commission for things like this. And then they just quietly dismissed the vehicle ramming charges, the trespassing charges. And now we don't know where they are or what happened or anything about what happened to this day.
And you were one of the few people that was pushing on this over and over. So let me get this right. Yeah, you were. And you were about the only one talking about it at one point and writing articles and coming on TV. So these guys ram the Quantico base with a box truck. They're illegals, and all charges are dropped. So let me get this right. The Biden administration has no problem with illegal immigrants ramming a military base tied to the CIA with a boxcar with the illegals. That we won't charge you. But if you have the doors of the U.S. Capitol opened by the police, they open the magnetic doors, the police are on video inviting the people in, taking selfies with them, and telling the people, be respectful of the property, be respectful, don't damage anything, but come on in. That, you get years and years in prison. But if you're an illegal ramming a military base with a box truck, no charges.
I'm really just hoping that the incoming administration will provide some answers on what happened there and on a whole lot of other things. There were no less than there were 5 congressional letters demanding information about that incident, and one from Governor Youngkin of Virginia, because it happened in Virginia. And all 6 of them were completely ignored. What? I mean, this is and when we put in FOIA requests for information about that, my organization, and they got back to us and said, when we were just asking for the identities of the 2 guys, I was later able to figure it out. It took weeks to figure out who they were, but I did finally. But they said, we're not going to release the identities, even though they're charged with crimes in public court. we're not going to give you that because their right to privacy supersedes your right to know about what happened, what they were charged with. I have it in writing. That's where this whole affair needs to be cleared up, whether it's in a commission, a truth commission, or something. These are exactly the kind of cases that have happened over the last 4 years that the world needs to know about. The American public deserves to know about these things. If it was nothing, say it was nothing, but just come on the record and tell us it was nothing.
Todd Bensman, he's author of, as you can see on his shoulder there, America's Border War and Overrun. Overrun is entitled How Joe Biden Unleashed the Greatest Border Crisis in U.S. History. And he came out with this in February of 2023, right?
Yeah, 2023.
February 21st, 2023. So he was ahead of the curve. Well, he's been ahead of the curve with his other book, too. So there you go. You can find him at CIS.org. Also, toddbensman.com, toddbensman.com. And if you want to follow him on X, it's at Bensman Todd, at Bensman Todd, if you'd like to follow him on X. Now, Todd will be one of the 3 people in the Mid-South here with us in a theater that we've rented with a live television audience on Saturday night, February 22nd. Saturday night, February 22nd. He'll be with us along with Colonel Rob Maness and J.J. Carroll. And our title is evolving. It was National Security, Border Crisis, and the Terrorist Among Us. Now it's going to evolve to World War III, Border Crisis, and the Terrorist Among Us. Because we've got to add in what's happening. I don't know what the title will be, but we'll have plenty to talk about with you 3 guys on Saturday night, February 22nd, for those that will be in the live studio audience. It's really for people to watch online. We want a live studio audience because it gives it more energy. And whenever we do that, the guys that are the guests always feed off that live studio audience. We watched 4 former FBI guys that we brought in. They told me later the live studio audience was egging us on. And by having a live studio audience, you got more out of us than you would have because we were feeding off of their energy and their applause. So it's something about a live audience of Americans saying, yes, keep telling us this. We want to know more of this. Great point. Thank you. The applauding, it really brings the speakers out, makes for a great evening. And so we'll have a studio audience. We'll let those of you in the Mid-South or who are a couple hours away know soon how you can get your tickets for that. It'll be very low cost, just a few dollars. That's just so we can vet who's in the crowd. And then other than that, everybody else can join by being a member of the Vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com. Get your year membership and be a part of that. Todd, looking forward to having you finally in our studios and seeing our operation here in February.
Looking forward to it. I like the studio audience idea.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be doing a lot more of that. All right, stay up to date with us on what's happening. Appreciate all your hard work. And I guess we'll be getting some reports from you in Mexico pretty quick here in December.
Yeah, I think I might go down to Mexico City here just after Thanksgiving because there's about 50,000 of them jammed up down there. So, that's the place to be. All
right, well, let's just avoid the last incident that happened.
Yeah, I think I'll be good.
Okay.
You never know.
That was a little scary. Just to hear you telling about it. Wow. All right, toddbensman.com, toddbensman.com, and at Bensman Todd on X. Thank you, Todd.
All right, take care.
You too, my friend. Todd Bensman checking in. Check out his site, toddbensman.com, and his books. All right, we'll be right back after this break. Hello, I'm Brannon Howse. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but it's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview. All right, that's our broadcast for tonight. As always, we want to thank you for tuning in and thank you for supporting us. And look who just jumped up here. Perfect timing. You jumped up here right at the end to say, what? You have to go outside, go potty? I guess that's what it is. All right. If you appreciate all we're doing, we appreciate your support. WVWFoundation.com. How do you look so innocent? Because your mother doesn't think you're that innocent. She looked up the labs right now. You're in your naughty phase. She says you're in your naughty phase. That's being 6 months old, like 4 to 6 months. How can anyone say you're in a naughty phase? Look at that face. That doesn't look like a naughty face at all. Let's see. Where was I? WVWFoundation.com. Let the music roll. 90. I was giving out her number. WVWFoundation.com. WVWFoundation.com. If you want to support us, we do appreciate your support so very much. You can also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail, okay? So again, and please tell your family and friends about the conservative broadcast outlet Worldview Tube, and ask some of your conservative friends to support this conservative network, particularly in the last months of the year. November, December is a big part of our general operating budget, all right? So do that. All right, come on back. Let's go full screen. Take down that lower third. We'll let Dolly take us out tonight. And then we can maybe go and get, hey, do you want some pumpkin? Did you get your pumpkin today? Did you have your pumpkin? Did you? She loves her pumpkin. All right. You like that new water too, don't you? Yeah, and your Gatatana, which goes on your dog food. All right, folks, that's it. Thanks again for watching. May God save America. Take care.